I'd say myths and misconceptions around homeschooling, as well as some of the factors to consider before you take your child to homeschooling. What do you need to know as a parent or as a guardian? So those are some of the conversations we want to have this morning. We'd love to hear from you. Give us your thoughts, your feedback as well concerning this. Our SMS line is open 23059. The hashtag is Morning Live. You can also watch this broadcast live on Facebook and on YouTube. Now allow me to introduce my guest in studio this morning. I'm joined by Edmond Ochanji, who's the director of Brilliant Mont Learning Hub. Thank you very much, Edmond, for your time this morning. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Right, and we'll just get straight into it. For a parent or a viewer who's watching us for the first time and hearing this term homeschooling for the first time, how would you define it in layman's language, what it is?
Okay, homeschooling is an alternative schooling where students learn at home. And instead of them going to the traditional schools. And here parents or guardian or a tutor is the one who will design and deliver and monitor the learning. Yes.
And so it's, as you've said, it's an alternative.
Yes.
And obviously it's a big question on, has it been certified the right way, just as the traditional method of certifying a school or a teacher has been certified? Is that the same process for homeschooling?
Okay, it's not, the homeschooling in Kenya is not really certified. The issues about homeschooling, they are still in court. Yeah. But according to the Basic Education Act of 2013, it stated that the children have the right to have basic education, but they have not stated whether it should be a must to be in a traditional school. Right. So it's still open. Then also in our constitution, Article 53, it's also talking about the rights of a child to have education, but they're not mandate, like they're not making it mandatory to be in the school setting, like in a traditional school setting. So it is something that's already in the court and soon will be there. Right. But in other countries, they have already formalized it. So homeschooling is formalized in other countries, but in Kenya it's not yet. So there is a way, if a parent is choosing the route of homeschooling, we are going to look at what makes the parent to go that way, and what is required from the parent. Yes.
Okay, if we speak about the ages, perhaps, is there a particular age where you can admit a child to homeschooling to a particular point, just as you have, a PP1 or a kindergarten learner going to that class at a certain age, maybe 4 or 5 years? Does it apply the same for homeschooling, or is just as long as they get to that school-going age?
We don't have specific age. So long as the child is ready to start the schooling, can pick up from the homeschooling. Yeah. As long as the parent understands what he or she should supposed to do. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about now the curriculum and just how flexible this curriculum is, putting in mind that we have now the competency-based education curriculum, CBE. We have the 844, which is being phased out eventually. How do you tailor this curriculum, just as much as those in the traditional class have that curriculum to fit for those who are doing homeschooling?
Okay, in homeschooling, we have the parent has liberty, freedom to choose which curriculum is interested or what the child is interested in. So we have the CBC, of course, our curriculum. We have Montessori, and we have many other curriculum, like international curriculum. Example, we have IGCSE, we have Pearson, we have American curriculum. So in homeschooling, a parent can choose which curriculum they are comfortable with. Okay. Yes.
So it could be any of that, whichever they want that learner to go through.
Whichever the learner wants is what we will give as homeschooling. Right. We are not unbundled to just give one type of curriculum. Yes.
And that, because it's a one-on-one setup, basically a teacher and a learner. Yes. Have you, in your experience, encountered or been in a situation where perhaps a parent wanted let's say 844, then they get to a point, they say, okay, this one is not working, let's switch and go to something else. Have you encountered that?
Yeah,
and how do you deal with that?
Many cases whereby a parent had, maybe the student was already on a certain curriculum, then they feel like they want to change. That's why it's flexible. So if they want to change, then we can easily switch to another curriculum, because we provide all these curriculums.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting that. And how do you get the teachers, or at least how do they come about and get on board? And if you look at the trend, are more teachers open to doing homeschooling rather than, you know, just going to a class? We
have a lot of teachers interested to do that, because, you know, in our country, employment is one of the major problems.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of teachers coming out of the universities and college, and they don't have a job. So what we normally do, we make sure before we employ a teacher, we have to make sure that they have to specialize in those curriculums. So we advise them to go maybe advanced, take a short course. For example, we advise them to go to Real University, so they can get a short course, just one semester, to understand, especially when it comes to international curriculums. But for the CBC nowadays, it's done in universities. Most of the teachers coming out of the university there, they have blended it, so they are coming out with the knowledge on CBC. Yes.
Interesting that, because as you said, it's very flexible.
Yes.
And so teachers can be able to go, you know, do a short course.
Yes.
Do I have to have a background in education for me to be able to be a teacher?
Yes, those are the things we look at. It's just like in a normal setting of a school. So when you are selecting teachers, we have to make sure they have gone through the training, the whole course, and we make sure that we give you the subject you have specialized in.
Right.
Yes.
And how do you keep, I'd say that, I'd call it that interest from parents or from learners to do this long term? How do you sustain that? Because I can imagine, you know, for a child who's been to homeschooling and they get to engage with children who go to a traditional school, do you ever feel like there's something that is missing, and how do you ensure that there's that sustainability in the long term?
Yeah, there is actually, those are some of the disadvantage or the other side of that homeschooling, that student will have to miss out in social life. But now we have made sure we have taken care of that, because in homeschooling, like, it's not in one place. Like, for example, in Nairobi, giving for example, just in our city here, we have different homeschoolings. We have in Runda, we have in Westland, Karen, we have in Umoja. So, you know, like, what happens when we want them to come together, we'll organize for trips, we'll organize for session whereby they can meet and socialize and know each other. And also we encourage the parent to make sure they take them out, you know. They can do community work, they can go out for leisure trips and so on. So we make sure that we take care of that, not like it's just boring, like it's just, student is just at home. So we have all that tailored program to ensure that students don't get bored. And they're involved in a lot of co-curricular activities, so they don't get bored.
Right. Yes. And how the learning model is structured, and the safety of it as well, because we've seen cases even that have been televised. A child goes to school and, you know, falls or gets an accident, and, you know, there's some negligence involved, passes away. How much is safety guaranteed with homeschooling? Because I can imagine for a lot of parents, this may push them to go that way because of that just fear of being, you know, looking at these stories that come out on the media. Yeah,
you see now at home, there is basically there is somebody at home. So if a parent is not at home, maybe they're working, there is a maid, there is a guardian, there is somebody around. So there is high safety because there is a familiar environment. So the child is just at home and the environment is familiar. Okay, we also ensure that, for example, if for other cases, we always encourage the parent to make sure there is a CCTV just in case of anything. So they install the CCTV camera just in case, but it's an optional, as long as the environment is safe at home. we will allow the learning to take place.
Right. And we'll be playing a few clips just for parents to be able to get a practical feel of what homeschooling really involves. Sure. And let's talk about the learning materials now. Because when you go to a school, perhaps there's a library or there are textbooks that have been provided, and there's some learning materials that teachers may use when they go to class. So when it comes to homeschooling, how different is it?
Whatever happened in school is what happened at home. So we make sure, first we set up a home school. Like we set up, in the compound, we set up a small room for the school. But sometimes parents who can't afford that, it happened just in the house, whereby they can just give us a small room in the house, and then we make sure the whole room is basically like a typical class. So when it comes to the materials, the parents are responsible for buying this material, but we provide also other materials. So that those that the parent will be able to buy, and that those that will come in to bring. Yes.
Right. Yes. Alice, if we're ready, we can have that video on just what homeschooling looks like, just a setup or an example really from one of the homes of just what it looks like, so that parents can get a feel of what the setup involves, how it looks like. Do we have it? All right, we'll be getting back to that in just a bit. Now, there's so much myths and misconceptions around homeschooling. And I think one of the most common or popular one, you'll find people say, you're near our dose, you're at our dose. So do we have it now? All right, before you answer that, let's just take a look at that example of what homeschooling looks like.
Exactly. Okay, the right word is any material that allows electric current to pass through it is a conductor. So with me here, I have a list of materials, and we're going to classify them whether they are good or bad conductors. So our first material is paper. So is paper a good or a bad conductor of electricity?
Bad.
Bad. So we write paper. Okay. Higher. Purity, you're next. Is plastic a good or a bad conductor of electricity?
Bad.
A bad.
All right, in case you're wondering how, that's just an example of how the setup is. Well, there we had two students and a teacher, in a very comfortable setup, and of course with no uniform. So, so that's just an example of how it is. It may vary depending on setup, and I believe as well. So now, the myths and misconceptions. If you can go through some of beliefs which are not true, that people think homeschooling is or homeschooling is not, just be able to set it aside and just set the record straight.
Okay, one thing is some parents or some people feel like homeschooling is for the rich. It's just like in schools. We have the schools for the rich, and we have also school for the middle, and those even who don't have anything at all, but students still will get the education. So in homeschooling also it depends if if a parent is able or if it's not able, still they can get these services. Right. So it's not just for the rich only, because giving, for example, if a parent is from say from a low earning place, like for example in Kibra. Can you still also get these services? Because what happens is we will always find a teacher around the place, a teacher that we can afford to pay. Then, as I told you, we have to make sure the teachers undergo a short training, either by us or we can tell the teacher to go to a certain college or university to get that curriculum, just like an update, because first, before you take the teacher must have gone through the training. But there is always an additional courses like to specialize in that. So it's not for the rich. That's the first thing I want to make it clear. Then also another myth is parents feel like, now how can my child maybe access, you have seen a clip there. When it comes to homeschooling, we'll always set the whole thing like a whole basic picture of a school. So it's not like a child will not have the normal learning process. Maybe they will just be learning through maybe lecture. No, everything is happening there. We have to set the library, small library we have to set a small lab, we have to set a smart board or a whiteboard or a blackboard, so so that the student gets whatever the other student are getting in other traditional school. The only difference that this student is at home and the others are in a traditional school.
Right, so those are just the most common perhaps myths.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Now, with the examinations and the testing, obviously as well, is there any difference really?
Yeah, there is a difference because you see, in a traditional setting, there is you have a timeline that you are going to do exam maybe at the end of the term, mid-term, and so on. But so your parent can stay for long to get the results, so they can only discover maybe the student is struggling by the end of the term, and correcting that might be a bigger problem. But you know, in homeschooling, the parent gets results on real time, like every day, every week. The parent is getting results because we do a lot of formative assessment. So there is no way a student can move to another topic before they understand the previous topic. Yes.
What do you mean by formative assessment?
Formative assessment is whereby you assess the student as the learning is going on. For example, you can assess a student in a certain unit or a certain topic.
Yeah.
So you don't wait for a whole term or maybe after 2-3 months for you to assess the student. So we give the parent real-time results. So if there is a, for example, take for example in maths, maybe you are teaching fraction, and after that topic we give an assessment. So if there is any problem or any challenge or any weakness, now the tutor will be able to correct it before the student goes to another topic. Yes.
All right, Edmond, allow us to take a quick break at that point. But when we come back, I want us to speak on how we can monitor the growth of these particular learners, because back then we had so many cases of a child repeating a class. So just how do we monitor that growth, as well as we can speak on the trend on this homeschooling and whether it's something that parents have been able to accommodate as we speak, or are they willing to accommodate more? So we take a quick break at that point. We'll be back shortly with this conversation. Keep talking to us. Don't go too far.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Are you ready for an...
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Morning Live. The conversation continues on homeschooling, a one-on-one personalized learning for kids, where also teachers are involved. But you know, it moves away from the traditional learning method where you take your child to school, to an actual school, but they're able to just do this from the comfort of their homes. My guest is still here with me in studio, Edmond Onchanji, who is the director of Brilliant Mont Learning Hub. Now, before the break, we talked about monitoring the growth of this learner, because it's personalized, and so parents obviously would put expectations on just how do I know it's working for my child and this is the right way to go. So how do you monitor that growth of a learner?
Okay, as I had mentioned earlier, that we normally do formative assessment test, though we also come up with end of the semester, also mid-term exams. So what happens is that every week or after 2 weeks or every unit, every subtopic, every topic, we monitor the performance of the child. So if there is any weakness or area that the student needs to improve, now that's the way the teacher will focus so much. And this one is given to the parent on real time. It's not like to take longer time. So we monitor that. We make sure we have tools of assessment to be in place, and we give results to the parent instant. Yes.
What about, you know, there's that aspect of monitoring growth, you know, in their education, but also in terms of social skills as well. How do you monitor that growth?
Like in terms of social skills,
yes,
as I said earlier, first of all, when it comes to performance, something I need to mention, it's not just like we are checking their performance only. We compare their performance with other students in our other schools, because say for example a parent is here in this town, so we have many of those cluster homeschooling, so we will have to do common exam. But also we normally also collaborate with other schools, and we do the same exam with other schools, so we can monitor their performance. But when it comes to social, also I had said that we will always make sure that all our kids can meet. Maybe after 2 weeks they meet together to just socialize, or sometime when we are taking them for field trip, they go together, so they normally have a chance to socialize. Yes.
Okay, there's a key question that has come in from one of our viewers, and that is a question on what about learners with disability?
Yes, so in our homeschooling we have all those experts. We have special learning, special needs education. So if a child has that problem you're mentioning, then we'll have to give a tutor who was trained in special need education. Yes.
All right, good. Yes. I hope you've been answered. Now, if we can speak on the digital divide, because we're in an era where the CBE, where classes are required to have some technology to be able to teach some of these units or topics in a particular subject.
Yes.
How has that been a game changer for homeschooling, the digital aspect of it?
Yeah, so, okay, as we said, you see, like in homeschooling, there is a lot involved, and those are maybe some of the challenges, especially the parent who cannot afford that. But those who are able, we normally make sure that a full homeschooling setting will always have even an internet installed at home. We'll always have a computer, there is a printer. So when it comes to digital learning, we normally make sure the student will undergo all that because of the facilities that will be available. But just in case the student, maybe they're not able to afford that, we'll make sure that we bring them to our center so that they can also get in touch with the digital world. Yes.
All right. We can go now to the trend of just the homeschooling of it. I know we've been able to expound more on what it is, some of the myths and misconceptions and all that, but let's talk about the trend. How is it growing in terms of it being an accommodated curriculum, or at least way of learning in Kenya? And what are some of the biggest concerns that parents have, not the myths or anything, but in terms of maybe the structures of it and the trend, and whether or not people will think they're crazy for taking their children to homeschool?
Okay, first of all, let me just maybe take you back. This homeschooling thing is happening. It's only that we are trying to use a formal and professional name. But homeschooling has been taking place, and a good number of parents are embracing. And also, in homeschooling, a little bit to just maybe explain, there are two forms of that. If a parent decide that it's not, a parent can decide to take just student at home, and they do exam maybe in a school. But sometimes it cannot be merely the whole part of it is just homeschooling, like students are not going to school. Also, there is a part of it whereby students are just helped at home, maybe on an evening or weekend, which is happening everywhere. It's only that it's not being talked about. So like that one now is where we call it private or private tuition or one-on-one or personal learning. That doesn't necessarily require a student to be at home permanently, but a student might be having weaknesses. Maybe he has weak areas in school, maybe struggling in a certain subject and is not getting that attention. So a parent can decide to give a tutor to help that child at home, which is happening, and many parents have impressed, even in the upcountry, in town setting, but it's not like being, many people are not making it look like formal, because as I told you, this is something that's already in the court, and we are heading somewhere. So I can say that so far so good, a good number of parents are embracing it. It's only that we cannot make it so popular when already it is something that we are finding to where it's already like in a court to find out if I'm putting my student at home, is it a must to register this student in our school, or we can allow the home schools to be registered? So in our country already, the home schools are not being registered. So that's why you had mentioned that we need to make parents understand what are you supposed to do, so that we are not caught up with the law of the land. One, when a student is on homeschooling, a parent should ensure they register them in a local school.
Okay.
Yeah, you just go register the student in a local school and make sure you take you pick the curriculum that is authentic. Yeah, the curriculum that are national and internationally recognized here. And also to keep on checking with the law governing the education. Yes. So the parents should be sensitive with that.
Right. And it's a good thing that you've put that disclaimer so that somebody just doesn't start tomorrow and they've started, you know.
Yes. And another one, it's not like for everybody, because we are not here to tell parents, I take student out of school. No, no, no. There must be a condition that or a situation that calls for homeschooling. And not all students, because if my child is just okay in school, then I don't need a homeschooling. But if my child, for example, you know, the teacher-student ratio in our country, there is a problem there, because if I one teacher, maybe 50 students, especially in public school, also in other private schools. So what happens if I am a parent and I feel like, okay, I want my child to get special attention, then I need to look for a one-on-one, a personalized learning. So it's not like for everybody, but if a student is doing well, then it's okay. You don't need to take the student out of the school.
Right. Yes. That's a good one, because I would have foreseen a situation where a student is brilliant, scoring good grades, good A's, and you want to...
And also on that, you know, also another circumstance, so parents can know. For example, when we started this homeschooling, it happened whereby there was a student from Upper Hill. That's when it was born. This brilliant mind was born. There was a student from a school called Upper Hill, and he was on expulsion. So, you know, not on expulsion, it was on suspension, and it was taking around 3 weeks. And this student was just almost sitting for the KCSE. Now, you see, in such a situation, the student is not allowed in school and cannot be absorbed by any other school. So now that's when the parent can come in and want this student to take the learning at home, and now they will just go and do the exam. Also look at a situation whereby maybe a child is sick, this severe sickness, maybe cannot attend school. He was in school, she was in school, but cannot attend school. So maybe the child is at home for home care for like 2 months, 3 months. Now, the question is, how will this student catch up with the rest? Now, that's when the parent consider to take the homeschooling. And that's why homeschooling is not majorly for longer, longer period. It's mostly for a short time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 6 months. So there must be a reason. So a parent should not just take out the child from the school and put them in homeschool. There must be a reason. We also get cases whereby a parent cannot agree with the school, or they are not in good terms with the administration, and they feel like, okay, before I get another school, I want my children out of this school. Temporary solution. Yes. So the parent will need our services, and then as this parent is looking for a school temporarily, we are giving those services to the parent.
Wow.
Yes. And also, there are many circumstances. For example, those diplomats who normally come to our country, maybe those residents, somebody comes to work like an expert here, a doctor or so on, and maybe they are not here for longer time. They're just coming here for a short time. So when they're coming, so they don't see any need of registering the student to a given school here. So they will just come for the homeschooling services. Yeah, maybe after 6 months, the children will be going away.
Right. Yes. And you talked about Brilliant Mont Learning Hub. Perhaps just for somebody who's, you've mentioned it, you've dropped it like a bombshell, for them to just understand what the Learning Hub means and what it does.
Okay, the learning, we use the word Learning Hub because we actually not just on learning like only teaching, but we also involved in also we supply learning materials. As Brilliant Monroe, so we supply learning material to school. So if a school is there and you're struggling on how to get any learning materials, be it for curricular or academic materials, we also supply that. That's why it's a hub of learning, anything to do with learning. So it's not just on homeschooling alone.
Right.
Yes.
Now there's a question that has come in as well, and somebody's asking, can the parents do the homeschooling themselves?
Yes.
Can I teach my kids?
Yes. Actually, that was the first definition, that homeschooling is an alternative learning, which instead of student going to a traditional school, a parent, a guardian, or a tutor can teach them at home. That's where we started. So they don't need me, or they don't need a tutor. If a parent is good, they can teach their children at home and make sure they register the student in a school.
Right.
Yes, especially for CBC. You know, for CBC, you need to register the student, but for international curriculum, you can register a student as a private candidate. But for CBC, you have to look for a local school, engage them, and register the student there. And you teach your child at home only. Yes, so parents can do.
All right.
Yes.
I'm just trying to see if I can get some more feedback as well. If you're watching and you also have got a question, kindly do send just before we wrap it up on this homeschooling. If it's something that you're very much interested for your child or on behalf of your child, you can as well just give us your feedback, and Edmond here will address that. So Edmond, I want us to wrap it up, but just as you do so, what would be that final word you'd tell a parent who's still on the edge? You've laid out all the facts, you've laid out all these things that they need to know, but they're still on the edge, really not sure whether this is something they want to do or not. As we wrap it up, what would you say?
So as we finish up, I can tell the parent that the fears that maybe that parent who is sitting at home has, you see, like, for example, a parent can be fearing, my child will not do sports, my child will not do swimming, will not do maybe agriculture, will not do swimming, other activities, because it will be just at home. What we do, we make sure that the child is holistically growing up. So apart from just a class setting, we ensure also that children can also have co-curricular activities, creative arts, involve them in farming. So, like, there should be any fear from any parent. And another thing is that when it comes to registering student maybe to a school, if a parent cannot do, because a parent can easily go to a local school and register them, but if they cannot do, we normally come in and we help them. There are those who cannot be able to, so we have schools that we can engage them, maybe near the parents, and then we register the student there, especially as CBC is concerned. So there should not be no fear.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Edmond Ochanji, who's the director of Brilliant Mont Learning Hub, and he's been here with us right from the start. Just give us a sneak peek of what homeschooling is. It's an evolving, I'd say not emerging even, it's an evolving trend in the education sector. It has been something perhaps you've been doing, you just didn't know it's homeschooling.
I've been doing it.
Yeah, you've been doing it, so you just don't know it's homeschooling. So thank you so much, Samuel Gabriel. I can see you've been watching, Geoffrey Mwemi, as well as Dina Mwani. Asante sana for watching this morning. Thank you, Edmond, for coming in. We appreciate your time. If you've got more questions that you'd love him to address, you can do so through that platform, same platform, SMS line, and we'll be able to direct it to him. Or if you'd love to reach out to him as well, please do talk to us and we'll connect you with him. Thank you for watching this morning. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Have yourself a wonderful morning ahead.